Record, but hey, hello, peace and blessings, everyone. It's my deep pleasure to welcome you to the Heart Nest. And I'm super excited about this being the first time that I'm actually interviewing some people that I am mentoring. As many of you know, you've gotten my emails, you see me on video, you know how passionate I am about my work with the Center for Mind Body Medicine and how excited I am about being a peace builder and bringing hope
Yes.
and healing to all of humanity. So I'm also deeply honored and excited to share with you that I am mentoring two amazing human beings who are passionate about bringing this work to law enforcement. And so I have this beautiful sister, Miriam Bev Perez, and I have Dr. Raj. Dr. Raj is in Minnesota and Bev is in Florida. And I'm just going to have them tell you a little bit about themselves and what they're doing and why this is important. So, Bev, tell them, because I already know, what led you
Yeah.
to the Center for Mind Body Medicine in this work?
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Dr. Sabrina, Raj. I look forward to getting to learn more about you as well. Hi, everyone, and thank you all for having us. When I was a young girl, no, about 4 years ago, I was a police officer and I was retired after 10 years after being involved in a shooting where the love of my life was subsequently, he was shot and killed and he died in my arms. At the time, he was undercover as a police officer as well. And I was a uniformed officer when he was mistaken for a suspect and was killed by the hands of one of our own. So I was the first officer on scene and I drove his body to the hospital, and later he lost his life. And it's been quite the journey, for me. I had a suicide attempt after that. And I moved. I couldn't find my grounding. And one thing that I noticed is that I needed to live near water. So I moved to Florida. And that's where I met my mentor, who is faculty with the Center for Mind Body Medicine. And he invited me to the training. And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't into it. At first, I was like, man, I'm not with this hippy dippy stuff. I'm not doing it. And, after a while, I just remember calling my sister and telling her, and she said to me, if you're not going to give into the process, you should leave because you're wasting somebody's time who actually wants to do the work. Fine, I'll do it. So I did it. And I was very vulnerable. And I realized that without this work and without what I went through and all the skills that I was given, I would not be able to be here where I am today. And I also realized that what I was trying to do all along was build myself to be the person that I have yet to have for what I went through. So if I'm going to be the vessel to be the voice for the voiceless and the one to speak up for mental health awareness and mindfulness skills and health and importance of mental health for police officers through being vulnerable and sharing my truth, here I am.
Beautiful. So you're sharing your truth. And also, what are you teaching other officers that you needed when you went through this issue, when you went through your loss?
Thank you. Thank you for that. So now what I do is I consider myself a mindfulness coach for police officers. So my Instagram is there. I am bevs.3122. And what I do now is I provide one-on-one coaching. I do groups, and I want this to go even bigger. I want to do retreats. I'm working on a podcast, but also things that I have done is that I have trained the peer support groups within different police departments, because what I realized is that when I was assigned peer support, they didn't really know how to deal with me. They didn't know how to humanize what just happened. And they were trying to follow protocols and check off checklists, but they didn't know how to do it. And what I also realized on the back end is that a lot of the individuals that were there that day, a lot of my brethren from my department that were there that day, they still struggle with what happened that day. Whether it was the dispatcher, other guys on the radio, people that were there, other officers that responded to the hospital and heard me scream my love. I mean, so many officers that are still dealing with that. And what I realized is that I need to help them with the skills to be good for themselves so that they can be good for each other. So the peer support officers, I'm giving them the skills, I'm training them, and I'm letting them know, hey, this is what happened to me. If you were assigned to me as a peer, what would you do? What would you say? And then they're all frazzled and they're like, oh my God, I don't know. What would I say? Well, let's think about that. What do you need right now? And they're like, I'm just like, I'm emotional. So let's think about that, right? So it's tapping into you so you can be there for other officers and most importantly, our communities who we want to honestly protect and serve.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bev.
Thank you.
And Bev, you are co-facilitating with your new brother Raj.
Raj,
Tell us a little bit. Now we know you're not a police officer, but why is working with law enforcement a passion for you?
Well, thank you, Bev, and thank you, Doc, for inviting us to this space. I am a faculty member here at Metropolitan State University and in the School of Law Enforcement Criminal Justice, right? And working with students from across the board also, and who are struggling with this issue of like, do I become a police officer and why am I becoming a police officer? And many of us come into this profession thinking like we're going to help people, right? I want to be that person who people can rely on. And then they roll into the job. And after a while, the job takes a toll on them and they lose this contact with their values, the reasons that brought them to the work. And once they lose that contact with those values and the reasons that brought them to the work, they become sort of like yet another officer who's just simply clocking in and clocking out. And I've seen this, right? And you hear from officers as they clock in and clock out, a lot of things irritate them, right? Those frequent flyers, right? They're going to the same number, going to the same place, seeing people, and then using stereotypes as opposed to being clearly present for their humanity, right? All of those biases kicks in. And so they become sort of dehumanizing the community and depersonalize that work, right? So I've seen this, heard about it, right? And I've been in that space where Philando Castile in Minnesota was shot. And you realize that officer, right, could have really be engaged in this process. And rather than going to that warrior mentality training, right, he could have really gained a lot from this type of training where he is emotionally connected and continuously connected to this process of in his work, right? Because it was a calling for him, right? The same thing with Chauvin, right? You go back and you hear their voices. They're like, oh, I came because I want to help people. I love being an officer. Man, what happened to all of that humanity? Right? So we want to, in this process when we are together, right? We want to invoke that Ubuntu principle, right? I am because you are, right? And we want people to reattach. And based on what Bev said, right, just her story alone can help us to reconnect to the reasons why we are doing what we're doing, right? I don't want you to come here do hard work, right? I want you to come here to do hard work, right? Stay close to us. So that's
really
the reasons.
No, those are beautiful reasons. So I also want to know what led you to the Center for Mind Body Medicine's work. What led you to the training?
I want to just give all credit to Dr. Doc here, right? But I would say that yes, you. No, I think when I was looking, because when I first took on my faculty position, right, and I started to work with people in circles and realized that, my God, we are so far removed in our training from connecting them to those the values, the reasons, right? We took them and then we sort of launched into, this is how you do high-speed chase. This is go to the range and shoot. And, you're judged on all of those things. And I saw students struggling, read their essays. And I was looking, I'm like, I got to look for something that will bring us closer to the reasons. And came across this training, right? Somebody said, "Hey, have you looked at this?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, this is very indigenous. I mean, these are things that I know that works, right? Growing up in cultures that promote this sort of emotional strength, right, that allow us to thrive." So I immediately said, I gotta get involved with this, right? Then I go there, and then I saw Dr. Sabrina dancing one night, and I'm like, okay, I'm hooked. I am done.
So don't give all the secrets of what's going to happen in group. I'm messing with you. But so what I'm hearing both of you say, and that makes perfect sense, because it's also been my experience of working with law enforcement in different capacities, both working with officers in recovery and doing these groups already with law enforcement. And what I'm hearing is that your desire is to help people return to their divine essence, return to the part of them that that wanted to be a protector.
Yes.
And the part that connects them with all of humanity. And that's really what these skills do. They allow people, first of all, one of the reasons why we agreed to do a group just for law enforcement is to promote some safety within the circle. So that people can say what they need to say in the space where there is no judgment around what needs to be said. And then for us to give them specific skills, beginning with how to breathe, how to eat, how to be in relationship, how to tap into a well of spirituality, how to really access your imagination, which then moves your body to move the way it's supposed to move, so that you can do the job that you're really supposed to do. So that's why we're doing this, right?
Right.
That's why I'm mentoring you. That's why the two of you have picked up this beautiful mantle, and that's why we're hanging out with you all. So this group that these two beautiful souls are going to run is called Black, White, and Brown in Blue, and it is for human beings who have chosen law enforcement as their career and their divine purpose.
Yes.
It's 8 weeks. It is completely free. So if you're watching this video and you love a person in law enforcement, you can send him or her. And if you're watching this video and you are a person who is in law enforcement, send yourself. No one will be turned away. Everyone will be welcome. The only thing you have to show up with is an open heart and a desire to be a part of the change. So there's some information at the bottom of this message. And the next time I see you, I don't even want to see you. I want to hear about you. I want to hear about what you're doing with Bev and Raj in their group. So thank you all for hanging out with us. And there will be some information at the end of this video so you can keep in touch. Bev, Raj, anything else you want to add besides a big welcome, goodbye, hello, peace, and blessings?
I do want to say that I always say now, I've been 4 years removed from law enforcement. And I always say, man, I wish I had this when I was in patrol.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how actually miserable, burnt out, depressed, angry. Just, I didn't realize how much of that I was holding. I was putting that on before I put on the uniform and the badge. And I didn't realize that until now. So I wish I had this when I was still in. But that doesn't stop me from gifting it to all of you, whether you're retired or active. I understand, I get it. And it's not, we're not one dimensional. We're not police officer who so-and-so. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm an auntie. We're so much more than that. So
absolutely.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Anything you want to add, Raj, before we go?
I want to appreciate everything my co-facilitator, keeper, guru, guide said. I also say, let us come, let us listen, learn, and lead together.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for listening. We look forward to seeing you soon. Peace and blessings.
Thank you all.